Hi friends, good evening. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy. I teach Indian Polity and Constitution. Today in this particular video, we will try to discuss yet another important topic useful for Civil Services Mains Exam, TSPSC Group 1 Mains Exam as well as APPSC Group 1 Mains Exam. So the topic is constitutional position of governor. Constitutional position of governor. Constitutional position of governor. This is very important topic because of the controversy of the institution of governor. Constitutional position of governor, or we can also say role of governor. Role of governor. See, one important feature of parliamentary democracy is dual executive. In all the countries with parliamentary democracy, the executive is known as dual executive. Dual executive, it includes nominal executive as well as real executive. So India had parliamentary democracy. India had parliamentary democracy at the union level as well as at the state level. So at the union level, President forms the nominal executive. The Union Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister forms the real executive. President is the constitutional head of the Indian nation state. Similarly, at the state level, Governor forms the nominal executive and the State Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister forms the real executive. Governor is the constitutional head of the state. Chief Minister is the head of the government. But if you see countries like United States of America, which is a presidential democracy, in countries like America, the head of the government as well as the head of the nation state is one and the same. In America, the American president is not only the head of the government, he is also the head of the American nation state. So India being a parliamentary democracy, we had two kinds of executive, nominal executive and real executive. And at the state level, governor is the constitutional head of the state. So that's the reason why, because of the nature of India's democracy, that is parliamentary democracy, governor enjoys only nominal powers. If you see some of the articles in Indian Constitution, Article 153 says, there shall be a governor for each state, and Article 154 says, the administration of every state is carried on in the name of the governor, either directly or indirectly through officers subordinate to him. So Article 153 says, there shall be a governor for each state, and the 7th Amendment to the Indian Constitution of 1956 enabled to have governor for one or more states. 154, the administration of the state is carried on in the name of the governor, either directly or through officers subordinate to him. And then 155 says, the governor is appointed by the president. The governor of every state is appointed by the president under his warrant and a seal. And Article 156 says, the president shall hold office during the pleasure of the president. This is very important article. Article 156. Article 156 says, the governor shall hold office during the pleasure of the president. Then keeping this in mind, if we proceed further, in India, from 15th August 1947 till 1967, for almost 2 decades, Indian National Congress was dominant not only at the center but also in most of the states. So the same political party was in power at the union level as well as at the state level, and as a result, in the first 2 decades, the institution of governor, the role of the governor became nominal. It was not controversial. It was not controversial. But in 1967, that is in the fourth general elections, which were held, Congress was able to retain power at the union level, but in 8 states, Congress lost power. So, in 8 states, non-Congress governments came to power. And now there is Congress in power at the union level, and in 8 states, non-Congress governments were in power at the state level. And this gave an opportunity for the center to start misusing the institution of governor. The governor started behaving like the agent of the center rather than being the constitutional head of the state. So, between 1967 to 1972, so over a period of 5 years, there were 2 dozen ministries which have lost power. There were 2 dozen ministries, and there were political defections, and there was a lot of political instability. So, in such a situation, the institution of governor started assuming lot of importance. And at the same point of time, as the institution of governor became controversial, the then President of India, V.V. Giri, has appointed a committee, Bhagavan Sahai. The chairman of the committee is Bhagavan Sahai. He is the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. Along with the governor of Jammu and Kashmir, 4 more governors were part of this committee. It was a 5-member committee, and all the 5 members were governors. The head of the committee is governor of Jammu and Kashmir, and his name is Bhagavan Sahai. So, this is the committee which was appointed to look into the powers of the governor, to appoint the chief minister, to prorogue the sessions of the legislative assembly, to dissolve the legislative assembly, the power of the governor to dissolve the legislative assembly, and the power of the governor to give report for recommending the imposition of precedent rule. So, all these were studied by this committee, Bhagavan Sahai committee, and it has submitted the report in 1971. And the important findings of this committee is, the committee rejected laying down a set of guidelines for the conduct of the governor. Instead, it said, erosion of democracy can be better protected with a better discipline among the political parties and among the legislators. So, the committee felt that coming up with a code of conduct or a set of guidelines for the governor does not help. Instead, there shall be greater discipline among the political parties and among the legislators to prevent the erosion of democracy. And then it also said, the governor is bound by the advice of the State Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister, but in case if the governor had any objection, he can record his objections with the State Council of Ministers. In addition to this, subsequently there was an annual conference of Chief Minister, there was an annual conference of governors in 1971. In this annual conference of governors, the recommendations of this committee were discussed, and there was a decision that laying down of guidelines for the governor is not necessary and it does not serve useful purpose. Instead, there shall be greater discipline among the political parties and also among the legislators. Then, subsequently, the institution of governor became controversial again in 1977. In 1977, after the emergency was withdrawn by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, she went in for elections. She suffered a massive defeat in the general elections because of her excesses in the emergency period between 1975 to 77. So, Janata Party came to power. By the time Janata Party came to power, in all the states where Congress was in power, the governors were compelled to tender resignation and to demit their offices. Subsequently, in 1979 elections, 79-80 elections, Congress came back to power. It has repeated the same. In all the states where Janata Party was in power, it asked the governors of the states to tender resignation. So, the stature and dignity of the institution of governor has come down because they were not given the fixed tenure of 5 years. They were compelled to tender resignations, and as a result, they had to resign prematurely. So, that is one important point. In addition to this, by using the Article 356, the President, that is the Union government, compelled the governors to act at their behest and to help the Union government in power to meet its political objectives. The governor started misusing his powers even under Article 356. Then, as I told, India being a parliamentary democracy, the governor at the state level is only a nominal executive and he is the constitutional head of the state government. So, he is not expected to enjoy real powers. He is expected to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. But there are certain situations where he can act in his discretion. But remember, the discretionary powers of the governor shall be narrowly construed according to Punchi Commission. Narrowly construed. The discretionary powers of the governor shall be narrowly construed, and the exercise of the discretionary powers by the governor shall not be against the principles of democracy, especially parliamentary democracy, and there shall be compelling reasons, and there shall be a caution and a temperament while using his discretionary powers. The governor has got constitutional discretion in the following situations. For example, a bill passed by a state legislature can be reserved by the governor for the consideration of the president. For example, any bill which is against the Constitution of India, which is against the directive principles of state policy, etc., which affect the powers of the High Court, all such categories of the bills can be reserved by the governor for the consideration of the president. So, whether to reserve a bill for the consideration of the president or not is the discretionary power of the governor. In addition to this, the governor can ask for information relating to the proposals for legislation being introduced in the state legislature. And here again he enjoys constitutional discretion. In addition to this, under the Constitution of India, for example, with respect to Maharashtra, establishment of regional development boards for Marathwada, etc., Vidarbha and Marathwada in Maharashtra, Kutch and Saurashtra in Gujarat, and similarly Hyderabad Karnataka region in Karnataka. With respect to this, in addition to this, Nagaland, maintenance of law and order, and Arunachal Pradesh, maintenance of law and order, Sikkim, promoting peace and development in the state. In all these situations, though the governor is bound to consult the State Council of Ministers, after the consultation with the State Council of Ministers, he can act in his discretion. He is not bound by the advice of the Council of Ministers. Like this, though the President of India does not have constitutional discretion, the state governor has got constitutional discretion. But Madan Mohan Punchi Commission says this discretion shall be narrowly construed, and the exercise of the discretionary powers shall be in accordance with the principles of parliamentary democracy, and they shall be for a reason which is compelling, and there can't be any opportunity for abusing or misusing of discretionary powers. In addition to this, governor also enjoys situational discretion, like the President of India. Situational discretion. What do you mean by situational discretion? After the general elections to the Legislative Assembly, if no political party commands absolute majority in the lower house, whom to invite to form the government is the discretion of the governor. In addition to this, a chief minister who has lost majority in the lower house, whether to dismiss the government or to seek the possibility of any alternative government formation, again is the discretion of the governor. So if a chief minister has lost majority in the lower house, the governor has two options. He can dismiss the state council of ministers and ask and can explore the possibility of the formation of alternative government, or otherwise he can dismiss the state council of ministers, dissolve the legislative assembly, and can go and can conduct fresh elections. Again, if a chief minister who has lost majority in the lower house advises the governor to prorogue the sessions of the legislative assembly with the sole intention of not facing the assembly, then the governor is not bound to act on the advice of the state council of ministers headed by chief minister. He can act on his own discretion. So in case if there is a government which has lost majority in the lower house, till alternative arrangements are made, he can ask the outgoing ministry to act as a caretaker government, and the caretaker government is not expected to take major policy decisions. And then whether a decision taken by the caretaker government, whether it is a major policy decision or not, will be decided by the governor on his discretion. Like this, the governor has got both the constitutional discretion as well as situational discretion. In addition to this, unlike the president, so there was an important amendment done in 1976 called the 42nd Amendment. So the 42nd Amendment says the president shall act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers headed by prime minister. Before 42nd Amendment, there was no word shall, which means it was not very clearly laid down in the constitution that the president is bound by the advice of the council of ministers. But the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 made it compulsory for the president to act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers headed by prime minister. But the 44th Amendment has given some freedom to the president. So when the council of ministers headed by prime minister advises the president, he can say no once and can ask the council of ministers to reconsider their decision, and once after reconsideration if the same advice is tendered, then the president is bound by that advice. So this amendment has not made any impact on the governor. So there is no word shall in Article 163. Article 163 says the governor shall act on the aid and advice of the state council of ministers headed by chief minister, except in areas where the governor is to act on his discretion. So it is not very clearly laid down in the Constitution of India that the governor shall act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. So when compared to the president, the governor has got greater discretionary powers compared to the president of India, Then to prevent the misuse of the institution of governor, there were a number of recommendations made from time to time. One important reason why the governor does not enjoy security of tenure and why he doesn't enjoy autonomy or independence is because of the doctrine of pleasure. Because of doctrine of pleasure. What do you mean by doctrine of pleasure? The governor shall hold office during the pleasure of the president. It means the governor can be removed at any point of time without giving any reason. This created all the problems, as the governor doesn't have security of tenure like the constitutional authorities like Chief Election Commissioner, Comptroller and Auditor General, judges of the Supreme Court and High Court, State Election Commissioner. He is forced to succumb to the pressures of the union government. And that's why there was one very important judgment, BP Singhal versus Union of India. BP Singhal versus Union of India, 2010. In this case, the Supreme Court said, doctrine of pleasure is not absolute in a country like India, which practices constitutionalism, being a written constitution. The constitution is supreme, so the doctrine of pleasure is not absolute. And it also said the governors Merely a change in the government at the union level is not an excuse for removing the governors. So, if the governor has to be removed, there shall be compelling reasons. So, if any governor is removed by the union government just because his ideology doesn't suit the ideology of the political party which is in power, just because there was a change in the government at the union level, then that is not justified. The government, the union government must come up with the compelling reasons with a bona fide intent. Then only the actions of the union government will be protected. Otherwise, they will be subjected to judicial review. That's what the Supreme Court said. In other words, if a governor who is upright and honest, he can stay back in office till the tenure of 5 years gets over. In case if he is removed by the union government without giving valid reasons, he will have a remedy in the court of law. So, this is a very good judgment which will strengthen the institution of governor. In addition to this, in this case S.R. Bommai versus Union of India, S.R. Bommai case, a 9-judge bench of the Indian Supreme Court has clearly laid down the guidelines regarding the proper use of Article 356, and it also has given guidelines what are the improper situations where this cannot be used by the union government. This also to some extent, to a great extent, reduced the chances of misuse of the institution of governor. And then if you take the recommendations of Sarkaria Commission has recommended, while appointing the governor of a state, the union government must consult the concerned state chief minister. In addition to this, it also said the people who have worked as governors must not enter into active politics after their tenure gets over. In addition to this, it also said that they shall not be eligible for any further employment under the union government except the office of the president and the vice president, or the second tenure of the governor. In addition to this, M.N. Venkatachalaya Commission has said, M.N. Venkatachalaya Commission has recommended that the appointment of the governor shall be done by a committee consisting of the Prime Minister, Union Home Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha, and the concerned state chief minister. This is one important recommendation. In addition to this, M.N. Venkatachalaya Commission also said the governor shall have a fixed tenure of 5 years and he cannot be removed within 5 years except for compelling reasons. These were some of the recommendations made by M.N. Venkatachalaya Commission. Then it is M.M. Poonchi Commission which has given very good recommendations with respect to the institution of governor. M.M. Poonchi Commission said the doctrine of pleasure, which is there in Article 156, shall be taken away. The governor cannot be removed by the president at his pleasure at any point of time. This doctrine must be taken away from this Article 156, and it said the removal of the governor shall be like the President of India. And you know that the President of India is removed through impeachment by the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha with 2/3 of the total strength giving their approval. Similarly, the removal of the governor must also be in the hands of the state legislature passing a resolution by 2/3 of the total strength. This will guarantee security of tenure, and this will give autonomy and independence to the institution of governor, like the Chief Election Commissioner, like the Comptroller and Auditor General, like the Judge of the Supreme Court and the Judge of the High Court, like the State Election Commissioner. And so the institution of governor may not be misused, because once there is security of tenure, once there is autonomy and independence, the governors will not be compelled to act according to the whims and fancies of the union government. If you see the experiences in the last several decades, the institution of governor is the most abused institution in India, and instead of acting as the constitutional head of the state government, in most of the situations, unfortunately, he worked like the agent of the central government, which is against the spirit of parliamentary democracy. So that's it about the constitutional position of the governor and the role of the governor. Thank you.